Thank you, Chairman. And good morning once again. Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning.
Do we have life in here? Sure. Just show me your right hand. Oh, yeah, people around. Thank you very much for that. Mine is going to be a simple one. Chair, you have not guided us on the time. So I don't know whether we should speak until cows come home. Otherwise, I will do that until the next day.
I thought the program will show the time. If we all have the program, Commissioner, you have.
Especially after shifting of the program.
I know the time is probably 15 minutes, keep within.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The 15 will be enough. So my structure is the way it is. Importantly, to note, Chair, as a word of introduction, that we implemented the IFMS in 2022, and at this implementation, we introduced capital expenditure budgeting, and this is being used 12 months through the fixed assets module to improve asset management. And we sought this opportunity to be able to have us to align our to the assets that we are going to budget for and acquire. And the purpose of this presentation is focusing on the management of assets, the planning and the budgeting stage. So when I say planning and budgeting, most likely I'm hitting on the planners and also the heads of departments who are now key in planning or budgeting. So allow me again, Chair, to ask or request the planners who are around to show me their hands. Because if they're not here, then I'm speaking to the wrong target group. I have only 4, 5. Okay, the heads of departments here. Yeah, perfect. Those are to work for me. So, Chair, we have realized that we need to inform our people that there are 2 key plans that you're supposed to be preparing in respect to assets. So the asset plans are required and must be prepared in accordance with the framework guidelines that were issued in October 2020. That document is available on the ministry website. We need current copies of that. But when you go there, when you get time, try to look at what these plans are. But I will hint specifically on 2 of these. One is the annual asset, I start with the strategic asset plan, the asset strategic plan that looks at the whole plan, the medium term. You look at your asset composition, look at what assets you will need in the medium term, what you will need to acquire, what you will need to maintain within that time, and along the way, what you will need to do it to dispose. So we are looking at a life cycle approach of these assets. So the strategic plan will cover the whole period, and this is picked from the section 6.1.2 of the document I referred to. And when you look at that document, it will give you the format of how this plan is supposed to be. Then we have the annual asset management plan. This is very, very key because this should come with your annual budget. And accounting officers are required to prepare this management action plan and submit it together with their budgets. It will cover the 12 months for the next financial year, and is also derived from the strategic plan that you have. So you are breaking down your strategic plan now into the annual plan within 1 year. And therefore, you'll have the planned acquisitions, the maintenance, and also replacement and disposals in this plan. Chair, allow me to also mention something about the chart of accounts. So when we did the implementation, we also revised the chart of accounts, because the chart of accounts is a document that is living, and we have always adjusted it and worked with it to fit our requirements, both for budgeting, implementation, and also reporting. So we revised this specifically for the asset management, and we have 67 asset categories. This moved from around 13, which we had, to now 67 asset categories in total. So assets are being captured at the stock level, the acquisitions, improvements, and also the transfers. But of course, when I look at what we need to budget for, we only need to budget for acquisitions, maintenance, and improvements. Stock and transfer and donations, these ones are non-budgetary, because these are mostly operational for purposes of reporting and also enhancing operations. And when we look at the chart of accounts breakdown, we picked a particular category starting with 3. Those are interfaced with the chart of accounts. I encourage the heads of departments to really interact with the chart of accounts, because it is important that you know where you are putting your budget, so that you don't complicate life for the people who are doing the actual budget execution. The CFOs, the accountants are always crying that, that was done at the budgeting, therefore we cannot control. And it is important that we get ourselves to these codes, so that we put our budgets from the correct codes to avoid issues of implementation challenges. So, but when we look at the code, it's supposed to be a 6-digit code, and the 2 codes are now have been identified. As you can see, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35 accordingly. Then when you move to the next category, the third digit, which is a 2, 3, is either acquisition, major overhaul, and etc. Then when you get to the next 3, then you are referring to either residential buildings or other asset categories. These are key, but the details are all in the chart of accounts, and they are fully explained. So when we move away from the acquisition and the major overhaul or major improvements, then we go to the aspect of maintenance. So maintenance has also been fully catered for, and we don't want to see you budgeting for maintenance on these 2 CV codes. Because when you go to the 2 CV, that is referred to as recurrent, then you're not going to be able to do any procurements or any acquisitions from there. Now, going to the transactions on the systems. Of course, during the upgrade or the implementation, there are several functionalities that we have enhanced, and these will be coming in piecemeal with time. We cannot do it one bang, or otherwise we may have a challenge. So we go step by step. So in the process, we have introduced an item master. So an item master refers to the list of our items that are all procurable by government. If you can think of anything that government procures, then we have included that in the item master. We took some time to consult and make sure that it is comprehensive, and specifically now we are going to start with the assets or the 3 series. So if you are going to procure assets, rest assured we are implementing the item master next financial, or the financial that we are looking at, the budget. We wanted to do it this financial year, but we realized the budgets were not prepared and were not given enough for capital expenditure, and would have lots of challenges. So based on the consultations that we are taking from here, we are going to determine whether we should do it full implementation or we do it in a phased manner. But I encourage you, once you have budgeted properly, then we shall not have issues where people are procuring the assets that are non-existent or they are doing lots of mischarges to be able to execute their budgets. So with the current practice, we have entities charging a current budget to procure assets, and this undermines our expectation of asset registers being automatically updated on the system. So when you procure, your asset register is supposed to be automatically updated. But if you are procuring on a 2-series, then you shall not be able to have that achieved. So there are also use of maintenance budgets to acquire, like I earlier said. Through the consultations, we have already come up with the challenges where some guidelines are giving you the option of, for example, construction on the 2-series. But we are going back to harmonize that and make sure that we clarify on how we should go about it. But we have people using the maintenance budgets to procure. So this is also not right. So when you're budgeting and you want to maintain, strictly keep that to maintenance. Otherwise, if you decide to procure on the maintenance costs, then you are doing a discharge. They are also budgeting for assets that are not under your mandates. We picked an example of classified expenditure budgeting, whereas there are votes that are doing that kind of expenditure, but you find people lumping their budgets on these codes, and this creates a challenge when they are implementing. So if you actually go to implement and to do the actual procurements, once we have implemented the item master, then it's going to be difficult for you. Then there is a random selection of asset items from the item master. The item master has been developed, but because people don't give it ample time, they end up picking items that are peculiar, that are unique, or that are funny, so that they continue with the process to complete the procurement. Chair, the common mistakes I talked are more or less what has been happening, and that also slide also explains to that. And when we implement the item master, once we have implemented the item master, colleagues, we are going to have these problems that I've mentioned addressed. We shall have consistency and accuracy in recording and reporting our assets. So these errors will be eliminated. Information will be provided, and accurate information. Because currently, if someone asks for information on your maintenance, for example, it is bundled up with procurement, bundled up with mischarges, so we may not be able to get the actual implementation, actual information for planning purposes. For example, later we shall have to devise means of enforcing maintenance or budgeting for maintenance, but at the moment we are not able to get information that relates to maintenance. Say if we want to say so much has been spent on a certain category for maintenance, then it's difficult for us to get that information. But once we have implemented the CAPEX and the item master, then this information will be easy to get. And we are also trying to strengthen controls and mitigate risks of mischarges. Mischarges, the wrong categories, and misreporting, like I earlier said. So, of course, the others are confirmatory that we also comply with standards that are existing, and also we tend to implement an inventory management module on IFMS. So, if we get this right the first time, then we shall be moving and cruising on the right attitude. So, Chair, in conclusion, I think I've just spent 5 minutes. It is envisaged that our strategic approach to asset planning and budgeting will drive long-term returns. And it is now the time to take decisive action, to use the right channel of accounts that are in line with assets that we intend to acquire, maintain, and improve, and also with further effective use of the item master and capex, the budgeting will be enhanced, and we shall be solving the current execution challenges. But once again, let me take the opportunity to thank the members here for listening to me. And remember, at the start, we raise the right hand. Let's raise the left hand to confirm that we are present. Thank you very much, Chair.
Let's join hands to thank the presenter. Thank you, Commissioner Tavalo. Thank you, members. As we wait for the chairperson, the Honorable Minister, to come and officially open this meeting, let's have another presentation by Minister of Finance, a presentation on local government guidelines on PIMS. Presenter. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Chairperson. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jason Kapuyo. I work with the Ministry of Finance in the Department of Project Analysis and Public Investment. I specifically want to speak to the draft public investment management system guidelines for local governments. And to begin with, here's a quick rundown of what is in our presentation. I do not want to go deep into it, but I want to introduce, first of all, what is public investment management system, because I do not want to assume that we all know it. So public investment management system is a framework used by governments to ensure that public investments are well planned, efficiently implemented, and deliver value for money. And PIMS includes guidelines, procedures, methodologies, processes for managing these public investments. And these public investments are the projects that you implement at your local governments. And I also want to note that this is just a synopsis of the guidelines, but the real document has been shared with you, or will be shared with you. And so we want to, because it's a draft, we want to welcome all your comments before we disseminate it back to you in November. So, as many of you may be aware, government is implementing the tenfold growth strategy, and therefore, as part of the agenda for achieving this, or achieving the double-digit growth, we need to implement public investments that maximize returns, and therefore the projects that you prepare at your local governments should be able to maximize returns. Each shilling you invest must be must maximize returns to that investment. A quick or closer look at our introduction. Public investments remain one of government's most effective instruments for stimulating economic growth, enhancing service delivery, and transforming communities. However, the full benefits of these investments can only be realized when they are strategically planned, efficiently managed, and well aligned to the national priorities. And what are these national priorities? The tenfold growth strategy, the vision 2040, the NDP4, among others. And in terms of legal backing, the PIMS, or the Public Investment Management System, was established and mandated as a mechanism to manage the public investment management cycle in accordance with the Public Financial Management Act as amended in order to strengthen public investment management in Uganda. However, despite local governments being key players in advancing the public investment agenda, there's still no clear framework to guide how you plan, implement, and manage your public investments. So it's against this background that the Ministry of Finance has developed these guidelines to support you in managing your projects with the goal of enhancing consistency, improving the quality of public investments, to support the growth strategies of government. And what is our intention? Our intention is to provide clear direction to local governments in and monitoring of investment projects, and then to strengthen Uganda's PIMs at the local governments. Moving on to the methodology used to develop these guidelines, I want to note that we undertook a needs assessment to document, first of all, the existing local government procedures that you have been using, and also to identify strengths, gaps, and areas for improvement in regards to how you will manage your projects. But we also undertook consultations with sample local governments in the regions of the North, East, West, and Central, and from that we were able to review and document the existing local government processes, procedures, structures in project formulation and implementation. And in this, we identified a number of common challenges in PIM for local governments, right from the first stage to the last. And under the design and appraisal, we noted a lack of systematic appraisal and documentation. A number of your projects at the local governments are not appraised and documented. And for some of you, you prepare a project or you ideate a project and provide it and then run to the COW and then request him to write a letter to the Ministry of Finance to fund that project without this systematic process. And so the other one is the MDAs. The MDA design projects are not aligned with the local priorities or practices. The local governments are not privy to the project designs at the center. And under selection and budgeting, competing projects, noted competing projects against limited resources. You have so many projects that you're implementing, and therefore you tend to what we call spread love. You allocate little funds on each, and therefore that will lead to, first of all, delays and also not completing these projects. The other issue is the political influence, which outweighs technical decisions, and therefore the best projects are not considered. And under procurement, let's start with procurement processes, limited capacity of contractors, and poor workmanship. And under O&M, we noted infrastructure which is in disrepair state, infrastructure which is not well maintained, the facilities remaining unutilized after completion. We noted that you acquire assets, but some of them remain redundant. And we also noted the absence of complementary amenities. You have graders which are parked because you have not budgeted or planned for their fuel. And in relation to the findings and recommendations, these findings mirror the challenges which I have just explained, and I just want to speak to the recommendations. So we recommend that you document the local government PIM procedures in the new guidelines. You strengthen the project appraisal and supervision requirements. You plan for O&M, and also we will support you in enhancing your autonomy and capacity in managing these investments. Out of these consultations, we have proposed a local government PIM cycle to improve the entire process. The very first one is the project design and appraisal. This involves planning project activities, evaluating viability, and determining the implementation approach. And the other stage is the project selection and budgeting. Here you choose investments to pursue and create financial plans so that you select projects that have quick returns and fit within your resources. The other one is procurement and contract management, and under this, we have also proposed areas of improvement. And the other is the operation and maintenance, and here you will ensure that projects remain functional. These assets you create, you must ensure that they remain functional by well maintaining them. And the other, which is the last, is the ex post evaluation, which assesses the impact and whether the project meets the original objectives which you designed at the beginning. But also, before you come up with new interventions, you're supposed to pick lessons from the completed interventions to inform the design of any other new interventions. Moving on to the proposed institutional framework. Under the approval process, we have proposed that the departmental team will prepare the department projects. And under this, I want to note that the PIM organizational framework will be mainstreamed into the existing local government institutions rather than creating new ones. So we shall not deviate from your structures, which you already have, but we will use them and make them very functional to speak to this PIM process. So after the departmental team has prepared department projects, the already existing technical planning committee will serve as the project preparation committee. And this mirrors what we have at the center. At the center, we have the project preparation committee. And this is the same as the technical planning committee at your level. So the other is the district executive committee, which will function as a project review committee. So after the TPC has submitted the project, the DEC or the DEC will review. And then the standing committees of the council will act as the project approval committees. So these are the technical approval team. This is the technical approval team. Finally, we have the local government council, which will give final approval as part of the annual budget process. And this again mirrors what we have at the center. And under project execution, the project information team will provide day-to-day oversight of the contractors. The joint team of the district education executive committee and the technical planning committee will form the project steering committee. And finally, the project steering committee will track progress against budgets, timelines, and performance indicators to ensure that in case of any deviation, these projects are brought back on track. And in terms of the proposed project design and appraisal process, this starts with identification and ends with recording. And under identification, the department teams will identify projects based on the needs and the cost effectiveness aligned to the strategic plans, and they will present this to the technical planning committee for approval. And what are these plans? These strategic plans include the district development plans, which form part of your strategic plans, but they must be aligned to the national priorities like the NDP 4, 10-fold, among others. The other stage is profiling, and under profiling, this acts as a basis for clear monitoring of your projects using the logical framework approach, and we have designed a template for this, and in the guidelines you'll see it. Under appraisal, you will prepare a project appraisal document that includes the technical, financial, social, and environmental assessment, as well as risk mapping. And in terms of land approvals, you will be required to verify land ownership and obtain the necessary permissions, including licenses. You're therefore barred from projects onto land which you have no legal ownership of, and this will be evidenced by land titles and sales agreements. And for community projects, proper consent forms or MOUs must be signed. And under recording here, physical projects will be recorded in the local government development plan. And later on, at the center, we have created a module where the local government projects will progress and be monitored through that system. So this is the integrated bank of project system. It acts as a central repository of all projects. So under that system, we have the central projects, but we also create a module for you to make sure that your projects progress through that system. And this is already under action. The other slide will be speaking to the proposed project selection and budgeting. And this section provides guidance on how public investment projects are selected and incorporated into the annual project budget, annual approved budget of the local governments. And this will be undertaken by the standing committee of the council. Before a project crosses from appraisal to being admitted into the budget, it has to tick the following boxes. It has to answer all these questions. Does the project cost fit within the available resource envelope? Is the current need and demand still relevant for the coming financial year? Are there no land ownership issues that might prevent execution? Can project execution risks be adequately managed? Is the project aligned with NDP and others? Has it received the necessary required environmental approvals? Does the project have wide political and community support? So you will only, if you have 4, say, projects that you're implementing and they have all finished appraisal, you have to make sure that all those projects, all the so that is one layer that we added on top of the appraisal process. And in terms of the budgeting process, you'll be appraisal before budgeting. Then you will enter the project details into the PBS, you submit for approval, and then finally display approved investments in the public hotspots at your respective administrative units. Under procurement, we have proposed that under pre-qualification, the procurement disposal unit will ensure an up-to-date list of pre-qualified providers before the beginning of the financial year, and procurement will commence in July and complete by the end of this quarter. So we do not want to see procurement going up to the 4th quarter. The other is the bid evaluation, which should be complete within 15 working days from bid opening. The other is contract signing, and you're required to obtain the necessary approvals from the MDAs within 7 days, or the Solicitor General within 14 days. And under implementation, the project implementation team will verify and assure immediate execution after contract signing. And finally, closure, you're required to rectify any defects during the liability period, and the DOP will have to be included within the contract and monitored within the contract. And as a portion, local governments should avoid awarding multiple contracts to the same contractor at the same time to avoid capacity overload issues, quality compromise and delays. I know we also have this issue at the central government, and I know many of you will have questions and say, but why are you telling us not to award multiple contracts to the same contractor, yet you also do it at the center? We are all working to deal with this issue. The other slide will speak to the proposed operation and maintenance, and under operation you will be required to prepare and use operation plans covering one financial year, ensure that complementary functional amenities are available. You provide adequate resources, including staff, furniture, and budget. So in your budgeting, you should budget for the staff and furniture and other things. Then you control running costs and pay bills on time. And under maintenance, you prepare maintenance schedules for regular servicing, include preventive, corrective, and predictive maintenance, among other things. And moving on to the next slide, we have proposed that the ex-post evaluation under this assesses the impact of the project 3 to 5 years after completion, and you're therefore required to assess the relevance, effectiveness, the impact, coherence, efficiency, and sustainability in line with the international best practice and evaluation, but also monitoring of the project results. Conclusively, these guidelines are a key step towards ensuring that projects, our public resources are directed to the right priorities, implemented efficiently, and deliver tangible results. And again, like I noted at the beginning, this is a consultative cycle where we need all your comments, and therefore at the end of this cycle, even when you've gone back to your desks, kindly review this document in detail and give us more comments. We do not want to approve and disseminate a document where we do not have your backing. And what is our prayer? Like I said, this is a draft, so we welcome all your input. And before we validate and disseminate, please let's have all your comments. And that is an email. Even when you've gone back, kindly note it down. Put all your comments there. We'll be able to track all your comments and consider them. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and I want to wish you fruitful deliberations.
Let's join hands and thank the presenter. Thank you very much for the presentation. As we've heard, this is still a draft. We need your input, we need your comments in order to finalize these guidelines that are related to local government projects preparation process. So I'll wait for the minister. We can have a presentation on NDP4. NDP4, fit within 10 minutes. Fit within 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Protocol observed. We are going to look at how effectively we can improve on the monitoring, talk about implementation of NDP4 at local government level. We shall look at the introduction, we shall look at the economic planning, the consequences for non-submission of the local government development plans. We shall look at the physical development plans, and finally, we shall look at the implementation, monitoring, and reporting. Next. Colleagues, as you are aware, NDP4 has been approved as the fourth in a series of 6 national development plans aiming at achieving our vision 2040. Let me help you now, vision 2040, because I might be talking about vision 2040 when you have another vision. It is the first of the 3 NDP4s intended to deliver our 10-fold growth strategy with the aim to grow our economy from $53.7 billion as of the financial year 2023-24 to $500 billion by the year 2040. This NDP4 is focusing on the ATMs, and my colleagues have talked about the ATMs. I will not go into that. Next. As is provided by law and in line with the planning circular, all local governments, we are supposed to have submitted their final local government development plans 20PA by 31st March this year. But as we talk, some local governments haven't submitted even the first drafts 20PA. This implies that these local governments are implementing outside the approved national development plan. We advise local governments, especially the cities, talk about the municipalities, the refugee host districts, to fully integrate and incorporate the Bushmeat projects into their plans. And we expect the project profiles of those Bushmeat projects in their annex. As it stands, 35 local governments submitted their plans to NPA. They received the comments, fully incorporated the comments, and they resubmitted their plans. And as we talk, their plans are at the approval stage. Then we have 75 local governments that submitted their plans, received the comments, but they haven't fully incorporated the comments and resubmitted for approval. We have 50 local governments. They submitted their plans and their plans are under review. Then we have 10 local governments that we submitted for the second time, and these plans are also under review. But we have the 6 local governments that haven't submitted the first drafts to NPA. Next. So you can exclude number 7. Go back. No? Yeah, you can exclude number 7 and number 6 that submitted last week. So those are the 6. I will not read these districts or local governments because they may be here. Are they part of us? Are you sure? They are part of us because we have one vision, one goal. So to achieve that vision 2040, we must work as a unit. We shouldn't leave anyone behind. We are part of these ones. Next. What are the consequences of non-submission? NPA will not issue the certificate of approval to all of the local governments that will fail to meet the criteria. NPA will flag non-compliant local governments to the Ministry of Local Government and the Ministry of Finance for corrective action. We shall not provide more support to these local governments in case they fail to submit by 15th November this year. Then we shall publish these local governments in all the national reports. Next. Let me talk about fiscal planning. Just like economic planning, all our local governments are supposed to develop their fiscal development plans. And these plans must be aligned to the national fiscal development plan. But we are not doing well, as you can see the statistics. At the regional level, we have only 2 approved out of 6. At the municipality level, we have only 17 out of the 31. At the city level, we have only 3 out of the 11. District level, we have only 18 out of the 135. Town council level, we have only 58. So we are not doing well. At the sub-county level, we have 342 out of the 2,148. So going forward, we need to fast track the finalization of our local government development plans. We need to strengthen the integration of the fiscal and economic plans. We need to develop fiscal development plans and provide detailed implementation fiscal development plans. Then we have the PIAP, the Program Implementation Action Plan for the economic plans. We need to train enforcement officers where they do exist. We need to strengthen the collaboration and engagement with the communities on the fiscal planning, and finally, we have to implement what we planned for. Our population. The size is not the problem, but the rate at which our population is growing. This is attributed to the high fertility rate of our mothers, including you men who are also so active, which is okay. Talk about the high teenager pregnancy, talk about the low education, low family planning use mindset. You men, you prefer more children to quality. This has resulted into unfavorable population age structure and high dependency ratio. So going forward, we need to integrate all the population issues in planning, budgeting, and implementation. Talk about issues of the youth, talk about issues of the children, boy child, girl child, ethnic minority groups, people with disabilities, to mention. Next. Now, finally, let us talk about implementation, coordination, and coordination. This is key. Regarding program implementation at the local government level, the HODs, are they here? Are supposed to prepare program reports. Go back. Program reports, which they will then send to the HODs of the technical clusters. I will take you through this, and they copy to the head of the technical team, who is supposed to be the cow or the town clerk. The program reports will be discussed in the technical planning committees and the recommendations made to the executive committee and sector committees, and finally to the council for final approval. So we have 6 clusters. Each cluster has a set of programs. Each cluster has a political head. Each cluster has a technical head. And each cluster has departments that must be subscribed to that cluster. Take me there. What are the roles? The political head is supposed to report progress of implementation to the district council or municipal council or state council. And if you are the technical head, you are supposed to coordinate the implementation of the program activities. You can call them actions, planning, prioritization, budgeting, execution, and results reporting. Like this is an example. This is the first cluster. We have those 3 programs. Transport, technology, go back. Then sustainable urbanization. Who is the political head? Secretary Works and Technical Services. That's the political head. Technical, district engineer. And those are the departments under that cluster. So we have cluster 2, cluster 3, cluster 4, cluster 5, and cluster 6. You have the presentation. Look at these clusters. Take me to this slide. Take me to the last slide. So, this is what we are supposed to do. Each program working group will identify key outputs and program performance targets, both annually and in the mid-term reviews. Examine and review program-related progress and plans, reviewing past performance, talk about emerging issues and future areas for improvement. Undertake monitoring and assessment of program implementation, examining progress-based program outcomes and interventions, and finally, monitor the performance of key broad strategies under the program and submit biannual reports to the council and authorities on the functionality and compliance of their program working groups. And lastly, resolve strategic, emerging, and cross-institutional issues impending program implementation. I submit here.
Thank you. Let's join hands. We thank NPA for this wonderful paper. Thank you. Members, as inform you earlier, write down the issues and comments you have on all the presentations that have been made. Then once we open our meeting officially, once the meeting has been opened officially, we'll go into discussion on all those issues and get comments and responses from the relevant MDAs. So, I'm informed the chairperson and Prime Minister is already with us around. We can next presenter, just a few minutes, as we wait for the chairperson. Just a few minutes, 10 minutes, and that will be, you skip that one to accord and CS back. Because I want the honorables to listen to you when you are presenting issues in service delivery in local government. So we skip the presentation by the representative of all the local governments. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. CSBAG is a membership-based organization, and for this presentation, we are going to have it done by a local partner from Lesotho. Simon, please come forward.
This is a joint presentation by the CSOs represented by Accord and CSBAG, our partners in budget transparency. We have an understanding with Accord and CSBAG. As far as budget transparency is concerned, we work together in this area, and they're always with you around. Because for us, in most of the cases, we are not on the ground, so they are our eyes there. They pick information, they pick performance of local governments, the issues affecting you, and when they come, we discuss under our DTI arrangement. That's why they are here to present a joint paper presenting to you the issues or the findings as far as local governments service delivery is concerned. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Biamkama Simon, and I'm the team leader of Let Us Save Uganda Development Initiative, and we are partners of CSBAG. So we are here to present our issue, and I begin with the government's response to our concerns we raised last year, and we are very much happy and we commend the government for addressing some of these sensitive concerns that we have previously addressed. And next slide. And among them, we have notable progress in the rollout of IRAS.